Okay, I'm calling to order the committee, of the Instruction and Support Services Committee on Wednesday, March 25th at 5:40. Apologize for the delayed start. I take complete credit or responsibility. It's late. And in with joining me tonight, Mr. Medina and Mr. Benahan Grajales. And then also joining the members of the committee, we have Maritza Estremera Jimenez. Is that it? Am I missing it? Mr. Woodson, Andre Woodson. And then joining me here is Joe Sokolovic. And then we have the superintendent there, yes. Superintendent Avery. Okay, and then the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of January 28th, which was the last time we met. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Medina. I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Second item on the agenda is referral to the full board for approval of the Multicultural Magnet School overnight field trip on May 6th through 8th, 2026 to the outdoor classroom in Lakeside, Connecticut. Are you speaking on this
I'm
tonight?
speaking, yes.
Then introduce yourself to the meeting and tell us
I
what
don't
you
know where
want
to
us
look. Look there.
You can look at me, you can look over there,
Okay, thank you.
don't look up.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Corina Starn. I am the science teacher at Multicultural Magnet School for grade 7 and 8. I'm also the coordinator of the outdoor classroom, our yearly 7th grade field trip to outdoor classroom, formerly known as Nature's Classroom. I am here to ask for your approval for our field trip. This is a great field trip for our students because they love, first off, they love going on this field trip. They come back and they want to go back next year, but we're only doing it for 7th grade. It is a great and unique opportunity for our students to learn science while exploring the outdoors. Not only that, but they're building community. They're learning about resources and resource availability. So overall, it's a really great field trip. We're gonna be doing it for 3 days this year because I also have a little one. So unfortunately, we couldn't do it for 5 days. But I personally am looking forward to be doing this field trip. And I know my students are also looking forward to be doing it. I have here Cameron, one of my students, who would like to speak for himself and his peers. Cameron.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Cox, and I'm a student in 7th grade at Multicultural Magnet School. And today I'll be speaking on behalf of myself and my fellow classmates on why I think we should go on the outdoor classroom field trip. I think that you should consider approving this field trip because it would be a new experience to learn about nature in a way we would not be able to learn about in the classroom. This field trip will teach us responsibility and teamwork. For many of us, this field trip will be a one-in-a-lifetime experience that we'll remember and carry with us throughout many years.
I think that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, we're open to your questions.
I'm gonna ask the basic question that I'm assuming that this trip has been properly vetted, if you will. The permission slips are down.
Oh, yes, we have everything. Yes, everything was submitted to Dr. Planas, who is our principal, and he submitted all the necessary paperwork to the necessary committees. Everything was signed, phone numbers. Yes, everything is here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Are you the overriding authority?
Thank you.
Who is confirming that it is all approved?
I am.
we are streamlining things. We used to look at all this stuff. We don't need to. We are assuming that when she says it is, and it is, and that's good enough for me. And yeah, man, I absolutely hope you have a great time. There is nothing nicer than getting out there and doing the things you're going to be doing. Are there any questions from any members of the committee? Mr. Medina.
Thank you, Chair. To the chair, I just want to, more of a comment than a question. I think you hit the nail on the head in making sure that we have our checklist and make sure we can see that. I think those that are within the room, I'll be there shortly, that confirm all those checklists have been done, just to make sure that we meet our responsibility. But also I want to commend the staff and the principal that advocated with the kids, and to find out if somebody wants to come and make a presentation to the young man that's here in the room, which I'll meet very shortly. Just want to congratulate you and thank you for coming and presenting to us and sharing your opinion. Those that are in the grades lower than you are going to be able to see this and use this as a platform and as a push. That way they can also come. So I applaud your staff and your principal and your teacher that decided to get somebody, and your willingness and your parents' willingness to help us hear from you guys. So I just want to thank you. I look forward to hearing back from you. Like I always tell all our staff and our students, I look forward to hearing back from you on your trip, and have a safe one and enjoy. Look forward to making our vote. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Manahan? Other members of the board? Mr. Skalovic?
Yeah, I'd just like to add on to what Mr. Medina said. And I'd like to give an additional compliment to our student because he does something I still struggle with. While you were reading your testimony, you kept looking up at the audience. When I find myself, I always struggle when I'm reading. I forget to look up. And I'm just reading straight off the paper and I'm mumbling in. Did very well to maintain eye contact, and that's something a lot of people struggle with, especially myself. So thank you.
Thank you. And those were all his words. Like I didn't.
Oh, I have no
Those were
doubt
all his
about,
words, so-
I have no doubt about
Yes.
this. Students know how to speak for themselves
Yeah.
very well in this district. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Esther Mary Jimenez, Mr. Woodson? Hearing none. I'll take a motion to approve the trip.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Medina. I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Hope you enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We.
You are free to go.
Thank you so much.
That's right. We're at the beginning of the agenda.
So much.
And go home. And our next item on the agenda is a referral to the full board for the approval of the High Horizons Magnet School overnight field trip. 2026 to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Tim Meehan from High Horizons, Francine Carbone, principal, couldn't make up the thing. I started out with Helen Moran 28 years ago, after you old timers like me, at Dunbar. And she did the tag program, and the tag program each year would go to, they take one grade, they go to New York, one grade would go to DC, one grade would go to Philly. When she left for Hooker School 20 so years ago, she brought me over there. And when she interviewed me, she said, "Will you take our students to Washington, DC?" And as well as my wife would let me, I was off for that. And so we started at that point, we started taking going to Washington, DC 1 year at $375 the first trip. And then the following year, we took our kids to Philadelphia. So we take 7th and 8th graders because I can't fill a bus with just one grade. So we got to the point now where this year is Philadelphia. And in the fall, we do a one-day trip to the New York City to the Statue of Liberty and 9/11 Memorial. And then the next year we'll go to Boston for one day. So we give our students an opportunity to see, major cities in our northeast region. It's educational, but it's also fun. And kids go because they're gonna get 2 nights in a hotel room. And for their parents, for their paying for, they're gonna be where the Constitution was written, Declaration of Independence was written. And it brings to life the things that our kids have learned in and online. They actually, for my 8th graders, it's a culminating activity for everything they've learned, but the 7th graders, it preps them for next year. And so when they're in 8th grade, this stuff is gonna seem real. It's a wonderful trip. It's the best 3 days of the year. And we hope you enjoy the trip.
Questions, Mr. Medina or Mr. Penn? Same thing as before, if I may, through the chair. Everything was vetted, everything, the assurance, the transportation, all that stuff has been vetted and checked on.
So I was missing one, permission slip. And they let me know, and we were told that you cannot get to this meeting if it wasn't perfectly vetted. So if somebody's
So you
here,
were just testing them to see if they were ready. On the toast, as we discussed last week. Perfect. Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing back from staff or their students. Appreciate it. Can't wait to get the first one in. Good job. Any other questions? Any questions from any of the non-members? I'll take a motion to approve this. So move.
Okay, Mr. Bennett.
Moved by Mr. Medina, seconded by Mr. Bennett, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, have a wonderful time.
now I'm on my way over to all that.
Okay. Say hi to the student base. Okay, I believe Dr. Avery, you're up. Our next item on the agenda is a presentation on Connecticut State Department of Ed support.
It's not going to be a presentation. I just wanted to give the board an update, Mr. Traber, regarding the work that's being done in district with the 2 state technical assistance teams. I call them Team 1 and Team 2. Team 1 is the first initial technical assistant team that started with the district probably back in, I don't have the exact date, but they've been with the district for over 6 months now, working through internal, processes and procedures, dealing with special education, our district transportation, and just your basic operational features that needed assistance. And so I call that team Boots on the Ground because they are members of the Connecticut community that's in-house with us, once or twice a week. They're working with district leadership, again, on special education, areas, transportation areas, and just your basic protocols of things that we need to do. And I can tell you that team that consists of Dave, and Ed. They've done a good job of trying to keep us connected and together on the day-to-day operations of the district. And very, very excited to say that have made tremendous progress with their assistance. And then just a couple of months ago, the commissioner added a second team. I call those my virtual team members. They have been working with the district and working to complete the 34 recommendations from the forensic audit. They're more process and procedural, support that they've been giving us on making sure we take all 34 recommendations and we're working through process and procedures and efficiency opportunities to streamline the work that we're doing within the district on, again, process and procedures to effectively address the needs that were brought up through the forensic audit. That team is working side by side with the HR department, special education department, and transportation department to try to come up with process and procedures and manuals that we could establish within the district to be able to work through some of those recommendations to make sure that we don't fall back into old ways of doing business. And at the end of this process, and hopefully by the end of school, the end of June, we'll have special education manuals and process materials to work through with staff to make sure that these protocols are being adhered to, and that we have a process of updating these manuals on a yearly basis. That special education protocol manuals that will be presented to administrators at campus level. There is departmental manuals and processes and procedures that are going to be developed in the HR, department, and the finance department, in the budget and purchasing divisions as well. Again, these are process and procedure things that should have already been in place. But I think, over the years, through the different, administration changes, things were just not, followed up on and make sure that we're actually connecting and doing those things. The other overarching thing that the team 2 is working with my team is to help to streamline policies that need to be updated in HR, finance, business process and procedures, all those things. So they are working with Christiana and myself to make sure those policies that directly impact HR, finance, all those things are, established and written down, and then being able to be followed. And so I'm pleased to say today that they have done a great deal of work making sure that those internal processes and procedures are done. We still have, quite a bit of work to still do. But I think at the end of the day, at the end of the school year, we'll have all those things summed up and ready to go and established. So as we start the new school year, we'll have a process and procedural opportunities to do really good work moving forward in the district. And I'm very, very excited. So at this point, I'll take any questions that you guys may have, and then we can roll this over, hopefully, to give the full board a report. And I'll have a little bit more detail for the full board as we move forward. So, Mr. Traber, I'll turn it back to you.
Members of the committee?
No question.
Through you, Madam Chair, Sir Chair, sorry. Do we, Mr. Traber, through you, sir.
I don't have a line.
Do we have did they set up a calendar yet on what's the next steps? I know we're here, I know they're here, but we don't know where we are in their process as far as, where's the end, or what's the end goal to them?
Well, I think the ultimate end goal is to make sure all 34 recommendations are addressed, and there's a solution for each one of those 34 recommendations. And my hope is that they're out of the district by the end of June. I hadn't got any clarification from the state if that's going to be the case, but I'm thinking that, when we first initiated, with both of the teams, team 1 was going to be finishing up in January of this past January, but they've extended it out to June. And I think when you look at the contract for the second team, they also are to be completed by June. And so that's why I said by June, they should be out of the district, and then we will sum that up. And usually what will happen with that, they'll do a total report that will go to the board to make sure that all those things are adhered to. In addition to some of the requirements on the other side that the board is required to do. So as long as both sides of the house meets their priorities and their goals to get things completed, I think then they will release, but they're not going to let us know until all those things are done. I know there's a few policy items that they're pushing the board to complete. I think you've completed a good 80 to 85% of them all, but there's still a couple of things that will be brought to the board over the next, at least the next month. We'll have a lot of those. I think the 2000 series has to be done, 4000 series. So there's a couple of other things that we're in the process of bringing to the board over the next couple of weeks and to the policy committee over the next couple of weeks, so that we can make sure that we meet that June deadline. And I think they're communicating with Jennifer. I'm not 100% sure, but Jennifer, the board chair, could provide you with that additional update, Mr. Medina, if you request that.
Yeah, I'll look forward to our regular meeting and maybe you gave me a good number, 80-85% as far as the policy is concerned. I know you mentioned the 34. I would like to know where are we? You know, you can do it at the full board meeting if you like. Where are we with that 34? Are we completed already? 15 I completed. You know, how are we doing? And then what else? I would love for the board to have a checklist for us to know where we need before we need it done. You know what I mean? So that'll be good for us, and or to all the chairs of the committees to know where we are. That way we can be actively working on that and following up with you guys also to get that work done. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
I have one question that I don't think we ever got a final answer to. With the team one, the old guys.
Uh-huh.
Team
one.
Yeah, there was a fourth. And we never got her report. Did we?
I never received it, and if the board chair never received it, you guys probably didn't receive it, so we probably did not get that. I think they may have forgotten.
It was requested.
Yes, sir, it was. I think between Board Chair Jennifer Perez and myself, we may just need to put that in writing and ask for that again, because they kept saying that they were getting it, they're getting it, but they never got it. The team one will be in the district on Friday, so I will make that request again. My weekly meeting with the deputy commissioner was canceled for Friday, so I'm not going to be meeting with him on Friday. And that's the other part I forgot to add, that I have a meeting with the deputy commissioner, Charlie Hughes, every month on every week on Friday, and the lead for both of those technical assistance teams is also on that call. So it's myself, Dave Irwin, and Joanne Cox. And the deputy commissioner, we meet in order to make sure those 34 recommendations are being taken care of. We don't really engage in what requirements that's left over with the board. That goes through the board chair. So I don't, that's something that I think if I were you, Mr. Traber, make that request of Jennifer as a referral, and then she can make a formal request to him to make sure that the board is making sure they're getting everything they need as well. And I can also follow up with Jennifer as well. So if you don't mind doing that, I think that will, if we can meet in the middle with both of them to give you guys a full report on everything, I think we can make that happen. But the fourth person she has never made another attempt to be part of this technical assistant team, as far as I know, since we had that last request made. Probably, I'm not sure. It's been a long time ago when we had those public meetings within the district that she was spearheading. I hadn't heard anything since then. And so I too would love to get my hands on that report as well, sir.
Well, you just anticipated my next question, which is that she's not around anymore.
I couldn't answer that question for you, sir.
To the
I
best
hadn't
of
seen
our,
her.
to the best of our knowledge, she's no longer a participating member of the technical assistance team.
That is my regulations as well, so I have not seen her since that day.
Oh, we would know, trust me.
So, yes.
Okay. Mr. Sakalovic.
Yes, we talked about, our responsibility as a board and the state technical assistance team and what they've told us so far, where we are on the checklist. Where is the state technical assistance team one and team two? On one of their responsibilities is not only to get us functioning properly, but to also look at our finances. And this is a pointed question I asked team two when they were before us. Have you ever informed the district that they were underfunded, that they needed more funding to carry out their priority? And the answer was yes. Is there any of the teams carrying out that duty and realizing that we actually need more money, and speaking to that, to the commissioner and to the governor's office? Because no matter how many efficiencies we gain through this process, it's not gonna make up for the shortcomings of the state funding formula and all this money that we're short. And if they don't emphatically say that when they get out of here, that they've done everything they can, but they're still $30-40 million short, or whatever short we are, I don't think they would be doing their job, and they would be doing a disservice to the state of Connecticut and the city of Bridgeport.
Thank you for that question, because you're spot on, Mr. Sokolovic. I thank you for, bringing that up. And I can tell you, they have not publicly said that to me nor any member of my team when it comes to, the underfunding piece. But they do see, those unique experiences and things that we're dealing with in our district, regarding how we're allocating dollars to certain areas. Now, they're still making us go through the exercise of reducing those budgets, reducing transportation budgets, reducing special ed budgets, reducing out-of-district placements budgets. So those efficiencies, that we're looking at, we're finding some savings, but you're correct. It's not going to be enough savings. It's going to get us that $40 to $60 million that we need within our district. But what it is doing for us, though, Mr. Sokolovic, is that it's really making us streamline our processes and our procedures, and making sure before we allocate a dollar for anything that we're paying for in this district, we got to make sure that we understand why we're spending the money on it. And I think sometimes in a large organization like Bridgeport, sometimes you get free willy with somebody else's money. And sometimes you got to come back within the system. And that's kind of what we're doing, going back into the system and making sure that the processes to get a service allocated to a student, there's a process that you have to understand. Why are we giving this, this related service? Do the kid qualify for the related service? And when you apply a related service, the related service has to have a mechanism where you come back and you evaluate the effectiveness of that decision. And we haven't really done that very well in the district. And so we've set up protocols to say if we gave a kid a related service for transportation, or a one-to-one para, our job within our district is to, once we assign that one-to-one para, we have the obligation to make sure that we're progress monitoring that particular service that's being provided. It's not just a free-for-all. And within 6 months of that service being provided, we should be able to have an analysis of that, all the individual things that we provided, related services to. We should, as a district, as a campus, as a department, special education, should be able to understand, was that related service effective or not? If it's not effective, what do we do by going back to PPT and evaluating that? Again, that whole process was just really wasn't done efficiently. We did it here and there, but we have to constantly do that. So that's the kind of process and protocols that we're working on for the efficiency side of the house. And I think it's a good exercise. I think we sometimes forget about it, but I think that's something that, you know, leadership should be doing every single time we make those decisions. And so, but again, they have not said that. You are correct with that. And I'm not for sure if they would even say that, you know, and that's maybe something that the board chair could request or have them come back to another meeting, and then the board could collectively ask those questions face to face. I think that's probably a little, and we can even invite them to a committee meeting if we like to, Mr. Traber, as a referral back to the committee for them to, you know, come to the committee and then come to the full board. Each individual team could do that, and I think that's a great recommendation to be able to put on the table for you guys.
Well,
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you say. I am very big fiscal conservative, not only with special education and all these other services, but as far as even our purchasing of supplies, we should be making sure we get the biggest bang for the buck. It's especially important in our district because unlike Greenwich, Westport, we don't have dollars to spare. We're about 40% underfunded in total, so we can't afford, every dollar that's wasted is even more impactful than it would be in a well-funded district like Greenwich and Westport. So we've definitely got to have this two-pronged approach. Get our funding, and once the funding is here, spend it responsibly with oversight. Thank you.
And one last point I want to add to your comment as well. And I think that's really what the state is trying to do, you know, is to make sure if we were to get additional dollars, we will have, you know, systems and process procedures and efficiency opportunities to make sure that that doesn't fall to the wayside. And I think we're building that. And I think my team truly understands the exercise that we're doing. Yes, it's a lot of work, but I think it's work that's truly needed. That's going to help us beneficial along the way down the line. So again, it's a two-pronged perspective. I get it. But my job as superintendent is to make sure that we sum it up and that we truly understand where we are, and we know what we have to do. There's a lot of training that has to come about when we get it all in place, and that's what this team, the executive team, is working on trying to do as we, you know, go into the summer and lead into the next school year. All these things have to be trained, and we have to kind of put it back to our staff to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So it's good work. It's a lot of work, but I just felt the need to bring it back to you guys and to the full board, so you understand that we're not just, you know, twiddling our thumbs up here. We're working,
Yeah.
and it's been really good, meaningful work as well.
Right, you guys have been doing an awesome job. I really appreciate y'all. And just to reiterate the final point, this is not a situation that's unique to Bridgeport. There are 120 something other districts that are suffering from underfunding, and it's not due to inefficiencies in the thing. So if it was due to inefficiencies, we'd be suffering from this problem.
Factual truth, absolutely.
you said that the last time.
Yeah.
Um, However, let's go back to the point that I think we need to zero in on, which is at a critical point in the very near future, the false narrative that our problem is misspending money, not lack of money, needs to be shot down quickly. Because the real problem in Bridgeport is lack of funding, not misspending money. And so there has been this false narrative way too long. You can go through our books and go through our spending and our management and find ways that we can be better managers of our funds. But the bottom line is we've never had enough funds for decades. And if we're, you know, the decisions are going to be made in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
as to how much funds we're gonna have next year. And that narrative serves no purpose. And we need to be able to have these experts that the State Department of Ed has assigned to work with you to say, unquestionably, there were problems that needed to be dealt with, but those problems are being addressed. The bottom line is the system doesn't have enough resources to accomplish the mission of educating the children of Bridgeport. And that's the problem in Bridgeport. Now, I'm not speaking to the bigger picture that Mr. Scollin just referenced of how many other districts are suffering the same problem in this state that doesn't take care of the children in the poorer districts. But in Bridgeport, speaking to our district and our problem, we have a team of experts who have been looking at the situation with a fine-tooth comb. And their conclusion is critical to us making the point. They can very much say this district cannot accomplish its state mandated mission without an infusion of more money than is being proposed by either the city or the state. And that's where we will need to get them to appear before us. You're not the one that needs to put the screws to them to answer that question. But we do need to ask those questions and insist on getting an answer to those questions on the record.
Mr. Traber, so what I'll do on my side of it, I will make that request on your behalf. And I'll talk to the board chair, Ms. Perez, and have her make that request on your behalf, because I think you're right. And I appreciate you saying what you just said. You know, I think it needs to be asked of by board to them and see them squirm, I guess you can say. I don't think you're gonna get that response that you want to hear, but I think it's an opportunity to put them in front of you to see what kind of answer you get. I think that's important, and I'll draft that email up, and I'll make sure that when I send it to the deputy commissioner, I will make sure Jennifer Perez is in that CC regarding the request that's been made of me to them, and I think we can make it work and make it happen.
We need to get an answer with integrity,
I agree. I'm with you. 100%. I'm with you.
just integrity. That's it. Honesty and integrity.
Will do.
Were there any other questions from any of the other board members present? Did you have anything else, Dr. Avery?
I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Traber,
Yes, Mr. Woodson.
I don't have any questions, but I'm gonna, as the chair of the policy committee, I'm gonna mention and reiterate what council told to us at the last meeting we had about comments from people that are not part of the committee and debating stuff, and this stuff should be told that this stuff should be, waited to be debated on at the regular meeting. So I just want to reiterate that again. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and not say anything and act like her word doesn't mean anything, because it does. So just want to run that by you while I'm sitting here. Thank you.
Your comment is so noted, Mr. Woodson. Dr. Avery, was there anything else?
No, sir. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Item 5 on the agenda is a exploration to include Eid al-Adha as a district holiday. We have, just this past Friday celebrated Eid al-Fitr as a holiday to mark the end of Ramadan. And had the day off. We were asked this past year to explore adding another holiday, Eid al-Adha. What? Hey, thank you for your correction. And so I put it on the agenda as I said I would do. We need to look at it. What I wanted to do was start with how many holidays we have now. Do we know that?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
I had asked that we have this discussion because I wanted to have it in the context of how many holidays we currently have. So the exploration of adding a holiday to me,
Yeah, I can go.
well, I don't know if I have my school calendar. But I wanted to have this discussion in the context of what we're doing.
Okay, good, thank you.
And in the context of our student body. So,
Are you thinking about adding it for this current school year or looking forward for next year?
given that we just voted on a new calendar, I don't think we're gonna be able to have it this next calendar year.
So 27, 28.
Would be the soonest, I think. But, what I wanna do is, we have, you just saw, given the current, this past year's weather patterns, and the number of snow days we had a difficult decision that we had to make, about adding days, taking days off. And so I wanted to look at how many holidays we have already. What adding another one would do to the overall school year. And then, I wanted to look at our student population, demographics
Demographic.
of the student population to see whether this would be justifiable based on the percentage of students we have that would be affected by it, that are directly affected by it. I don't know if you did that for the first one. I just asked a simple question. That's all I'm on right now.
Alright.
Just, did you do that for the first one?
Well, it's not a simple answer because
Why?
those demographics are not collected on a level here, so it has to be. The information got to be input another way.
I'm not sure that
It's just a yes or no. Did you do that for the first one?
I was not here.
Not you. I'm asking him. He was
No,
here
no.
first.
And I'll wait until I'm
Okay.
my turn to speak. Give further information and clarity.
Okay, what I would like to know is the demographics of the effect of the Muslim population of our student body. That would, this holiday would be, I don't know, meaningful to. We have just added a Hindi holiday. We've added one Muslim holiday. We have two Jewish holidays. We have one Christmas, Easter, major Christian holidays. And then we have 13th Day. Which we would call a Christian holiday. But that's also a Puerto Rican holiday. Oh, I think we're coming in the 13th thing.
Oh. You have it already for next year. That's what I thought too. I would have confirmed that. We do have it on March 9th. That holiday is no school already, right?
Yes.
No.
That is the other one.
That's
Yeah,
That's the.
That's the other, okay.
that's Eid al-Fitr. Yep.
What date is that one that we're looking at right now, sir?
Well, next year, I think it's in,
Which change?
It changes, it's based on a lunar calendar.
hey Siri, what is Eid al-Adha next year?
May
No, the 27th.
It's Friday, the 1st of January, 2027.
Yeah, May 17th, Monday,
Yeah. That's this year's,
2027.
okay, 2027, got you, May?
Yeah, Monday, May 17th. It starts on the 16th, that's right? It goes through the 17th or something.
That's ad hoc.
Adam,
And the 26, 27 count, it appears that we have 27 holidays. Together. Breaks.
Holidays, not breaks. Just want to know holidays right now. You're saying 27 days off. Which includes some holidays.
And for something like that. For, they have a down for,
we have Italian heritage,
yes,
Thanksgiving. We have Thanksgiving.
it's not a holiday.
That's not a holiday. No, we want
Kings,
Three Kings. What about the Christmas? Some people don't do. But that's that falls under
that's
the
winter recess.
winter recess. But we do.
Do you want to cast winter recess?
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying then. Winter recess includes New Year's and Christmas.
And Christmas. Then we have
Good
Eid.
Friday and eat
but
out.
Three Kings, Martin Luther King.
Oh.
This day. Do with Good Friday.
Good Friday is,
Still tie into the spring break next year.
Must be part of
it is
spring
part
break.
of the spring break because, yeah, it's not here.
It's probably the 15th. I'm sorry,
Not
the 16th.
It's not next year.
Oh, Good Friday is in March.
Yeah,
Oh, Good Friday is on the 26th. It's early.
we changed our schedule to coincide with the others.
That's right.
One, two, three. Six,
We don't have on this,
7, 8, 9.
Which other words are you counting?
I have Labor Day, Yom Kippur,
Well, Labor Day is a national holiday, right?
it's a holiday. It's a holiday, right?
so do you want to count everything that is a holiday? Because we were trying to do religious.
Religious
stuff.
ones.
Oh, no, I'm just
Okay,
counting holidays.
holidays, then, okay,
How many days are we not having school because it's a holiday?
Okay.
That's really what I'm looking at.
then
And
Veterans
I
Day is,
understand that you're leading out, we're sort of in la la land with Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Day,
Right.
because they're part of bigger breaks in our schedule. President's Day. I did count President's Day just because it's only a weekend now.
yes,
So I did count that.
6, 7, 9, 10. 10 for next year, but this will increase because they don't have on this one.
We don't, do we have the, is the Hindu?
It's not here because it's on a Sunday next year.
Okay.
And also, we don't have Rosh Hashanah because that's also on a Sunday. So generally we get Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah.
Are we including all of President's Day weekend or are we counting that as one?
Well, I'm counting President's Day simply because it's there, but it,
Part of the week, like it's like a Thanksgiving break thing.
yeah, I mean, it used to be a week off, but it's not. It's just a long weekend. Rosh Hashanah, what's the name of the Hindu holiday?
Diwali.
Diwali.
It was a day off last year, but coming, yes, we went this year, yes. It was a Monday, October 20th. Yeah.
I know you took it.
No, but it was a day off for, yes, to you.
So do we have, as a former chair of policy committee, do we have any policy on adding holidays?
It's already anything specific, as far as any specific like instructions on how to go about it or something like that. I would suggest, yeah, I would think,
I'm just asking him, he was former chair.
Yeah,
I know.
yep, and I didn't see anything, but I would think that it will be the same thing as every other thing that we add or thing, it's just a vote of the full board to find out what we want to do.
Yeah, so, do you know, do we have any policy on that?
Board of Education approves the calendar there.
No,
And,
it's a good question.
well, we can
It's the answer.
approve it through the calendar. As a day
It's
falls
just
to
a
the
no,
calendar.
Joe.
All right, Ron, if you got some
It's
sort
a
of added to it, just
question.
keep it to yourself, man. And let me know when it's my turn to, well, we're
Well,
talking about how many days off we have for 20 minutes. And beneficial.
Hey, Joe.
Also, just wanted to mention, Juneteenth, if we vote later, that will be a holiday too. June 19th, so we need to make sure.
It's on a Saturday.
It's for 2000.
Coming up.
Like it's a Monday the following year.
Take a look at what the state, the Connecticut State Department of Education, what do they hold as holidays to find out from them, since those are our guidelines. I can get that from them also to find out that we have a.
I don't think there's any.
Well, if there is, it will miss it there.
I just was curious if, since Joe went through this once, if he had any, or there was any policy that guided it, but he wants.
No, like I said, the only policy we have is
More than based might be about this discussion too, Joe.
you know, that's done, but yeah,
It's
it's
more
more
to say
to
that way. Okay. And so I would also like to get the demographics. Of our student body. Or anything out of the committee. Do Albert or Willie, do you have any other thoughts on this?
And the only thing that I was just trying to reach on my own right now is just to find out what the other districts are doing to find out, you know, I know we're unique, but I also want to find out what the other district neighboring towns are doing when it comes to this. So I look forward to hearing that part of the discussion.
Joe?
And since this was my referral, I got a lot of background on this. The mechanism we use to approve holidays is through the calendar. This is how we did it last time. The whole calendar actually needs to be looked at actually in order to implement this, because we've got old holidays and we do have relatively new 5-day weekends for other things that could also be utilized if it's the will of the committee and the board to approve this holiday. There are, I believe, 2 districts, last I checked, there was 2 districts that had both the Eid al-Fitr and the Eid al-Adha as days off, along with Diwali. I can't recall them off the top of my head, but they do exist. And where there's a will, there's a way. We've got a calendar that hasn't been updated as far as holidays and looking at demographics. And the problem with looking at demographics is when you look at the religious demographics, you've got to extrapolate through the number of basically mosques, churches, synagogues, the people who attend them to back into that number. You gotta reach out to the Islamic community and the memberships, the Jewish community, because it is illegal to ask somebody their religious affiliation in a school setting, so you'll never be able to get that number. That's a question that they used the last time we tried to improve it to get it stopped. They asked the students to come back with more demographic information. And it's basically just an equitable thing. When you're, somebody just made the point that next year, if the Jewish holiday moves, there's 2 Jewish holidays. We've got about 3 Christian holidays. Demographics, when you back into them, Muslim religion is the second largest in the city of Bridgeport on a student level. So they have the least amount of holidays. So it was inequitable for them to only have 1, but some have 3 and some have 2, being the second largest religion. And go into equity, you go look into Mr. Medina talked about going to the state. There's some state holidays that are protected by law and statute. For example, Christmas. You look at a state statute, it'll say the holiday, the last week of December where a holiday falls shall never be changed. Or something to that effect. So it's protected by law. Christian holidays protected by law. Yet they struggle. I think in the name of equity, we need to look at this. I think we actually do need to look at the full calendar. And because the days are there, and we do have to consider winter because there's some, when we got a 5-day President's Day weekend where it used to be 3 days. So that's 2 days right there that has to be looked at. We've got a shifting demographic of religions, even though we can't look at them, we could definitely make the assumption that children who would be celebrating Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah are significantly less than our Islamic population. So these are all things that's no hurry to get this done because this is something we can look at. And we also need to check in with Dr. Avery and how hard it would be to shift the calendar as it currently stands to add this day in if the board doesn't create an additional burden upon it. So some more, it's not gonna get done today, and then, like you said, it needs more exploration. Thank you.
Any other comments? Dr. Avery?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the discussion, guys. I think there's a lot more involved around the calendar development. We do a lot of different groups, internal and unionized, to kind of make sure that it aligns to all the needs of the district. But I think having the deeper conversation, looking at other districts and see how our school districts around our areas and what they're doing with this particular holiday, I think we can do a little bit more research before the next meeting, and hopefully kind of give those stats to the committee and the board to really kind of dive deeper into that. So we will definitely do that for you, and then give the board a little bit more factual data to make a better decision if this is something that the board wants to do. We can definitely do that for you. So I've been listening, so we will definitely rally the troops, Marge and team. PJ is the one in the district that really been spearheading the calendar development. And so I would like to kind of get him and the teams that he brought together to finalize this pass approval by the board, and then we can definitely look at that. So we'll keep it open-ended, and then we'll figure out how we're going to bring it back to you guys to make a solid decision. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Robert?
Thank you, Mr. Trevor. We don't need to discuss and talk about that, but I just want to put it for the record so you can kind of be prepared. One of the holidays I would like to be put in this, calendar. For what important, they are saying in the last, education meeting, Veteran Day. Sorry, Veteran Day. That's very important. You know, I know we got holiday, but this one, if you, like I said last time, this is the people fight and die for us, for our country. You know, and we need to respect that as I have a family members and we have family too. So that holiday is very important for me, very, very important. I just want to put that for the record. We don't need to discuss this. And I know that we have to bring it to the committee and to the board. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I just want to be clear about one thing. And it is really important to me to be clear about this. Memorial Day is for the veterans that died for our country. People confuse these holidays. Memorial Day is for veterans that died for our country. Veterans Day is to honor all the people that served our country in a military capacity. Not any less respect to those people. My father was one of those people. He served, he died at the age of 92. Served in a war. Did not die in that service. So Veterans Day is to honor the people that served and fortunately didn't die in that service. People have strong opinions one way or the other, and I respect your opinion on that, Mr. Benahan Grajales. But I just want to, it's always important that people get confused in that discussion. But we do have a holiday called Memorial Day that we do take, you know, we do have that holiday every year. And that is for the ones that, the veterans that served and died in service. And then we have Veterans Day to honor the rest of them who, thank God, did not die in that service. And we can debate whether or not they should have that day off too, or we, as we currently practice, hopefully do things in class, in school, to pay respect to them, as we did in my class every year. So that's a question of whether what the best way to do it, but let's just be clear about the holiday. As people get it confused.
100% correct.
I understand that we differ, so they're two different things. So we cannot be, it's not the same thing, so it's two different things.
You said serve and die. I just want to be clear that
No, I understand.
we
I
have that
understand.
holiday
Different things.
and
Yeah,
people confuse those two holidays.
yeah, I understand.
And so you just be clear about these two holidays. It's fine with me that we take a look at the holidays as a big picture question. I asked about whether we have any policy at all about how we look at holidays. There is a third rail question in there that we need to take a look at. Mr. Sokolovic raised it. But we should discuss how many holidays. I don't believe Mr. Sokolovic was correct about President's Day. I believe that actually Mr. Sokolovic, let me finish my sentence.
I'm looking at a paper, sir. I'm sorry for offending you.
You don't have the right to speak. I didn't say you offended me. I pointed out you're not correct. That's not offended. That's a question of being correct or not. You're now interrupting again, Mr. Sokolovic. I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking.
Sir?
You're again interrupting. And I will take away your right to speak at these meetings if that's what you want to do.
Okay, Kristen.
Now you don't have the right to speak at my meeting, Mr. Sokolovic. Because you have now been rude. But I believe that the entire February week off used to be in conjunction with President's Day. When we had the whole week off. And as one who took advantage of that week to go see my father, the veteran, in San Diego County, I enjoyed that week off. And it was in conjunction with President's Day weekend. And then we shortened it to a long weekend, which made a trip to California all the harder to spend time with my father, the veteran. So that was my point. We didn't lengthen the weekend. We shortened the week. But I do think that we need to take a look at the longer week. I mean, the calendar, the question of holidays and what holidays are appropriate. And I would appreciate whatever information we can pull together on demographics, on holidays that we have. I recognize what you said, Dr. Avery, is correct. The negotiations with the bargaining units, the coordination, as we did this year with the neighboring districts and what their schedules are, all those factors that we take into effect. At one point, the state tried to mandate that. They found it impossible to mandate that. That was a failure. But we do the best we can, and we'll take a look at that in conjunction with this question of trying to see if we can reasonably offer this second holiday of Eid al-Adha to our students. And so for now, I'll take a motion to table this item.
I think it's
An action on it. Table it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this item will be tabled. We'll continue this discussion at the next meeting. And the next item on the agenda is a preliminary discussion of professional learning plans for 26-27. Dr. Hughes, I believe that was you.
I shared with the committee the surveys that we did for administrators. We did 2 separate surveys, administrators and teachers. We extended the time for the survey so that we could enable administrators to leave time of their school-based professional development days. So we had some decent participation in the surveys. We had over 100 administrators, and we had approximately 600 teachers, which was probably one of the better number of respondents. In summary, both the teachers and the administrators agreed on 3 things we desperately need. That would be differentiation, all students, multilingual learner strategies, and curriculum content, pacing, and the instructional framework as a package. So then our team has now put together a sketch of what those days, and I'm going to share the days with you now. Tentatively, the administrators are going to be August 8th, 10th through the 13th. Our new teachers, August 17th to the 19th. And our all teachers, August 21st, 24th, and 25th. This would enable the teachers to have their first day in the school with their teams, and the last day before students start with their teams. We are looking at different varieties of presentation for the teachers. We had initially high hopes that we would have coaches coming on board, but doesn't appear to be what the reality that I was hoping for. So now we're doing alternatives. So over those 3 teacher days, it will probably come up looking like a staggered. All teachers will not have professional development all on the same day. At the same time, they'll be staggered so we can tailor their needs. We're trying to look at our teacher cohorts as our new teachers, our teachers with less than 5 years experience, which accounts for, at least this year, 43% of our teacher population, and then our veterans teacher, with the understanding and the recognition that every group, every cohort has different needs. Within those 3 cohorts, you're going to have further differentiation needed for special education, related services, content, etc. So I just wanted to give you an update that we're being sure to include our principals and teachers in as we put together these programs for the new year, and when we get the final calendar, we'll bring it back to you.
Questions from members of the committee?
To the chair, when was this survey? I see there was a survey then. When was that survey done?
Going to next, Mr. Traber, to me.
Oh, no, to you. I'm sorry.
It's March 20th. Its date is on the,
So that was the actual day of the survey.
that's when it closed.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Closed
You
on
know,
Friday.
the day of the service,
We opened
the
it,
survey.
it was open for over 2 weeks,
So it ended on the 20th.
correct?
Open for 2 weeks. Got it.
I find with surveys that if you leave too long of a period, it becomes yesterday's news. So we try to give it as short a time as possible. We also try, especially for our teachers, to have administrators allow time for teacher completion in their faculty meetings. Everybody was great. They did so. We had a great response.
Thank you. I'll say my questions for, once I review all that stuff, I unfortunately didn't. Had time to review that as it was just put under that thing on Monday, so. But thank you very much.
Welcome.
Mr. Chair. Okay, thank you.
With the still hope that we have coaches, that notwithstanding, I assume that we would be leaning on veteran teachers, using veteran teachers then to help with some of this.
Well, part of the issue is that we've asked the teachers what they want to hear.
Right.
What the need is. We know from our walkthroughs that we've done as a team that we have about 32% of our classrooms that we've been in that have evidence of any differentiation whatsoever. And we know that this in particular is an area of struggle. Now, we're also concurrently, we're doing curriculum writing that teachers are going to be involved in all of our content areas. ELA, math, early childhood, social studies, and the arts, even though we don't have a director for those. And so from a content standpoint, it will be the directors delivering that. We are currently in the process of talking to the state to see if they have any expertise that they would like to share with us for the multilingual learner differentiation, as well as the other. Our directors have already done what we call pop-up PDs, so the recorded 10-minute video. Here in for instance, TJOT that here in HMH, this is where you'll find differentiation for struggling learners, for our multilingual learners. Then he did another 10-minute pop-up PD where here's a lesson plan. Here's how I'm putting those differentiation strategies in. In every content area basically has done that work. Dr. Fega as well. So whether and the other issue is because teachers are on vacation during the summer and planning for that can be an issue for them. So I believe for this year, we're going to be relying on the content directors and our in-house expertise for delivery. Now, during the year, we have the PDEC, which we're officially on the committee now. So I'm hoping to see some joint collaboration as we plan the year.
Still might use some of our people for new teacher training.
Yes.
Because that sometimes it really works when we bring our veteran teachers.
Do we still have that?
Yes,
teacher,
yes.
Yes.
We're taking that.
We're
back
taking
into
that and
our
we're doing
division.
a 3-day training for our new teachers, so that is when we
With the
want.
veterans.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, that's more what I was referring to. And then within the buildings, just the presence of the veteran teachers. I know because Dr. Hughes and I were talking about misuse, sorry. And I were talking about what's the percentage we're at now?
43%.
You want to elaborate on that?
less than 5 years experience.
Right. We, right. And so we're having trouble. We've always had trouble, and it's been exacerbated in the last few years with retention. And so there was a day when my floor at Placum had 5 or 10 teachers with 15 to 25 years experience.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. And that's a resource that people don't understand.
So we just wanted to give you an update, a snapshot where we are with curriculum writing and professional learning.
And then, any other questions from anybody? Okay, and Tess,
I'm sorry, he's the chair, and I have my hand raised for the last 30 seconds. No problem.
didn't see
You
it.
look up right next to you.
I
I
looked
just want
that
to
way.
make sure I get voice
I looked that way. I
connected.
caught it out of the corner of my eye as I started to move on. Right.
Thank you, through the chair. Just, I'm the type that words matter and I'd rather put the question out there, the statement out there than not think. Because I know when I went through CABE's, training like the year before and this year and everything, there are some programs, that being said, that the state already approved for certain things. So I would, suggest that reach out to,
Already have.
through CABE, no, good, but if I don't pay it out, that will not be comfortable, because I didn't say, because I'd rather say it and go through the thing, because there are some things, so I appreciate that, hearing that right away, that, oh, I have, because I just want to know that for myself. I don't want to leave here without that being said or answered, because I know that there was a lot of things that were in that already the state already took care of it and already pay for it. The only thing we need to do is use them, and the state already pays for it. So any little bit would help. If we don't need it, I would hate to not use it and then need it and then not have the availability. So let's use everything that they already took care of for us. And even if one teacher takes advantage of that, that's good enough for me, because we're taking advantage of it and we're using the resources that we have that are free to the district. Thank you.
Dr. Avery.
Yeah, through the chair, let me emphasize something to committee members. This is my lane. I'm very, very astute in making sure that this, Mr. Medina, you brought that to my attention a long time ago. I told you what we do with those programs. Not every single program that the state puts out is beneficial to our kids. Our kids learn differently, and we have to make sure we maximize how and what those programs are used for. And some of those programs are not fit for every single type of child in the state of Connecticut. And yes, when you get those generic programs like that, sometimes we have to modify it so much in order to make it work for our kids. And that's my job and my team's job to vet that out. And so I think, from my perspective, we look at those and we scrutinize those to the best of our ability. So I can reassure you that we're looking at that. I wanted, Ms. Hughes to bring this, topic to, because it's over the last year or so, it's been an issue about can our teachers, previous administration didn't think our teachers were capable of writing curriculums. But I can tell you, our teachers are well equipped to write curriculum, because they did it this summer and they did a really fantastic job on it. So we're going to use them as best possible, because this year you didn't hear anything about curriculum because our teachers wrote it, guys, and we're maximizing that. And so we're very excited about it, excited about future opportunities, not only from what the state provides us, but sometimes we have to pick and choose our own devices in curriculum to use. And we're doing that very well. You got Mr. Tito right there. You got, Dr. Vega right there. And those are two huge content areas, ELA and math. And they can tell you what they're doing with teachers in order to kind of, strengthen their expertise. We have a lot of young teachers, and so we have to set that stage for them. And we do that very, very well. And I'm very proud to say that. And so, again, we're hopefully, Mr. Traber, we'll bring more of these types of updates back to the board, because there needs to be a focus on academics in this district. We don't do that enough. And if we equip you guys with what we're using, and then you can scrutinize us a little bit about the effectiveness of those program evaluations that we should be doing every single year. How well is it working for us? And if it's not, we got to get rid of it and do something different with it. So we're way ahead of the game, and I'm excited about that. I think our teachers are excited about us utilizing them for it. So we're on the right track. Let's keep it moving, keep the focus on children and academic growth. That's going to get us where we need to be over the next couple of years. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that answer. And I would like to say that please try to, if possible and when possible, to highlight that for us. I would love to hear some of those teachers, would love to hear some of those curriculum come up forward, even if it's just informational. That way we can celebrate those staff and those teachers and those campuses that are leading. That way every campus doesn't have to invent a new wheel. If it's working, we can share it. So I want to hear more of that. So I appreciate you adding that to this discussion. Thank you.
Good job. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a discussion report on mid-year test results, math, ELA, and pre-K.
Dr. Fig is going to present on ELA first, Mr. Planas on math, and Ms. Davis on our pre-K.
Got more coming.
Get the lineup. And I just want to say, I really do want to give a shout out to our content directors. I noted in December, collectively, they've been in over 520 classrooms. This is working with principals. These are the individual school visits, working with principals, coaching teachers, doing support wherever they're needed. And we are small, but we are mighty. We're getting our numbers in, which I'll have next week for the January through March, the cumulative. But I would well say that they're doing probably each had in excess of over 200, maybe 230 coaching experiences per content director. So my hat's off to them and all their good work they've done this year. Go ahead, Cheryl.
So good evening, everyone. I hope you're well. I'm here to share with you the mid-year literacy progress, which focuses mostly on our reading skills in the district. These results will help us make decisions on the curriculum, as we just discussed. Also look for areas for growth and to adjust our instruction throughout the year. So first, we're going to be looking at the DIBELS beginning of year versus the middle of the school year. This test was given in February for the middle of the school year, and we are looking at the composite score, which is actually made up of several different parts, which includes our phonics, fluency, and accuracy scores. And what you'll see, and what our goal, of course, is always to shrink the red and to grow the green and the blue. And so in here, you'll see this is K through 6th grade. And you'll see that we have grown our blue, and we did move our green kids into our blue, and that our red remained stagnant. And so that's one of the things that we look at, and we make adjustments throughout the year.
Just to make sure that we're all on the same page, BOY is beginning of school year.
BOY is beginning of school year, and MOY is middle of school year.
I'm trying to gain it all. Thank you. Got it.
And so what we've done with our coaches, with the ECRI and our foundational skills curriculum is we're looking at where our areas of growth are. And then we're zeroing in on that with our teachers and talking about how we can improve our phonics instruction. One of the things that we've talked about most recently is making sure that every classroom is using the phonemic awareness part of the lesson within our Wonders curriculum in combination with our ECRI lessons.
And
Would you
just jump in
explain
for
what
one thing?
ECRI is?
We've had
Yes.
Hill for literacy. This is the work that with the Hill for literacy. When Cheryl referred to coaches, it's the Hill for literacy that she's referring to.
The work that we're doing with them. They come in, they meet with our teachers individually, they meet with us, they meet with principals. So we're doing a lot of that discussion and looking at the curriculum, and the ECRI is the curriculum piece of it, and the Hill is the organization working with us.
And there at Hill is at every school, correct?
Correct.
So we have seen some growth in the green and the blue. We're using this information on a daily basis for progress monitoring those students that are in the red. We are forming small groups for instruction on the areas that they need and in making sure there's targeted intervention throughout the school day. And most importantly, that is helping us to respond to their needs in the moment.
Dr. Faga,
Yes.
I'm not seeing the growth.
In the blue and the green only. Our red is flat.
And then the green for that
But
sleep.
the green is really less.
So if you combine the 23 and 11%, you'll see that got us to 34. And now we're at 36.
Right. Because you get a
When
3%
combine.
growth in blue
Correct.
and
So the
a
green-
1% loss in green.
Correct.
So,
The yellow though shrunk,
yeah,
which means we moved kids over into.
but
the
you
green
have a
and-
drop in the total number of kids taking the test.
That is true.
So there's a 3% drop in the yellow and a slight drop in the number of kids in blue and green.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
Overall in the entire district, yes.
yeah.
And then when you look at it by grade, yeah. So this is our 7th through 12th grade. This one is a little bit different. What you'll see is the red is below 5+ years. And then you're going to actually look at the light green and the dark green for at grade or above. And Reading Plus focuses on reading comprehension, vocabulary, and stamina. And we did see some growth in the green. This assessment is going to help us with differentiated instruction as well. It also monitors whether students are on track for grade level reading. We're looking for that green to increase so that above and at level combined, we're looking to increase while decreasing the below grade levels, which is the yellow through red.
There we see a substantial growth in green,
Yes.
not so much the light green, the dark green.
And so with Reading Plus, there is a direct correlation with work that the students are doing in their small groups and with their personalized instruction through the computer. So we do have the students working on lessons about 20 minutes a day, no more than 60 minutes a week, which then shows the growth. And we have seen growth in all of the areas based on what they need. So the way Reading Plus works is by the end of the year, the students are supposed to do 80 lessons throughout the school year through the platform. We monitor and watch to see where they are. 40 is where they would have been in February, completing 40 lessons. And when you show that, there is direct correlation to gaining a year's growth if they reach the 80 lessons. So this program is monitoring all year and progress monitoring all year, where the DIBELS is given 3 times a year, and there is not a computer programming that the kids are working on throughout the year that's connected to that.
How is the district doing, with that percentage that you said they got 80, we're in the midpoint, so we should be seeing most of them around 40 or hopefully more. How are we doing as a district with those numbers right now? As far as them completing those, being in.
The lessons,
Yes.
I can't give you an overall number right now, but I can get it for you. But we are on track. We are also looking at the schools that haven't gotten to that 40. And what the Reading Plus people and I are working on is saying, okay, if they haven't hit the 40, where can they get by the end of the year? Because it's not now rushed through to try to get to 80. They take it at their own pacing. So some kids, we all have a different playlist, really. And so I might have a lesson that only takes me 5 minutes based on what I need. And someone else may have a plan where they have to do 2 lessons, and that might take 15 minutes, depending on which area I'm working on. So it depends on where you're scoring. So if I'm scoring high, I'm gonna have a different lesson than someone who might need support in, say, vocabulary. And I'm also, and have been working with that pop-up PD and with the teachers on what the offline offerings are of Reading Plus, which are things like writing prompts and also offline practice that students can do. So it is not all on the computer all the time. And when we do our win period and we break out for small group instruction, when my students come to me, I should be grouping them on what they need. So if 3 students need assistance with their vocabulary, they're going to come to me at the same time for about 15 minutes. We're going to do a lesson together on that. And then they might go back and do some independent work or a different station of work.
I was talking to, I know there was a question and comments before, as I recall, how are the classroom being equipped with computers? Like, they're not, are they all, or is there only, you know, a certain number? Let's say if they have 25 students, they have 10 computers and it's just kind of like a shift.
I'll
How
have to
is that?
question.
Most of our schools are 1-to-1. Every child has one.
Nice.
But we're again trying to say, we don't want instruction solely on a computer. We want teachers teaching. And they do this work when they're doing their small group instruction. So if I have 6 kids, the other 18 might be doing different stations, doing different work.
But one of the problems that was mentioned in the previous discussion was the percentage of teachers who need help with differentiation.
Correct.
And that's what she's just talking about is, you know, identifying the 3 kids that need to come into this group to do that function, you know, differentiating them.
And then supporting our multilingual learners too, who for anything, they might do pre-teaching. So they might have the pre-teaching with me first before I even send them off to another station to do other work, so that they can do that work while I'm meeting with another group. And so the pop-up PD and conversations have been about how to structure that win period or that win time within a period, because it's different at the high school level and the middle school level. How do we do that and put students in front of us? Because the research says it's 66% of the time students do better in small group instruction. They're more willing to participate than say 125 pairs of eyes or something.
Well, I have on though that our high schools are implementing
Yes, they are.
small group instruction within their block period. I attended Harding's common planning time for the math department. They've got small group lesson plans for the, you know, to plan those what those small groups look like in their block. I also attended Columbus's common planning time. They're doing the same. So you know, we're building up steam, and differentiation challenges are not just in Bridgeport. It's across, you know, many schools, because it's challenging. It's challenging when you have different learners with different needs.
Well, and it's more challenging in a larger class.
Correct.
Correct. Larger class with also different levels of students. And so, you know, if you have 25 or 27 kids, I mean, a group of 4 or 5, I mean, how many groups of that?
Larger class,
What-
different levels of
different
students,
levels.
multi-language learners.
But we are working, but has been our push, and I think, and I wanted to add what our content directors are doing. Dr. Ortiz and I have been meeting with our principals again on the same thing. The message is the same.
We're very cohesive.
Yes.
Message every.
That's what we are doing. So they are doing the same thing. They are supporting their teachers. At the end of the day, we want to ensure that the teachers have the tools so they are able to, you know, deliver that to the students. So we've been all working together.
I like those 2 words, that word push and word cohesive, because we gotta keep them moving.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get stagnant, and just a little visit and support, and then them to know that we got eyes and ears. Because again, I haven't got that many calls from people saying different things that I've had in the year before I was part of the board, and when I was part of the board, and I haven't got a lot of things about questions and all that stuff, and, you know, so it's been,
That was
we're not
intentional.
hearing nothing.
That was intentional, because one of the things that we recognized last year was that there was too much. We were hitting teachers with too many things, and we had to so we really tried to be very focused, very specific, and very targeted. it with teachers using the State Department of Education's turnaround walkthrough checklist. Every teacher has a copy. They know exactly what their principals are looking for, what we look for when we go into classrooms, the discussions that we have. So that was a very intentional move. Just, sometimes too much, you're being bombarded in all angles and it's just too much. Especially when 43% of your teachers are less than 50 years experience.
Well, and a lot of the work I've been doing with coaching some of our newer teachers is actually where in the book do I find this? What am I focusing on when I'm looking at the teacher's edition? So making sure that we're communicating and then helping them find where it is and then implement it to the classroom. I have one more slide. So these are the interim assessment blocks that we are providing. You'll see that there's over 22,000 that have been given this year because these are broken down into the different domains that we have here in the district. I'm sorry, in the state on the SBAC, SBA test. And so that test is broken down into reading and then also writing, research, and listening. And so we are focusing on the reading this year, along with the research in the IADs that were given. We focused on reading for information and reading for literature because most of the tests, about 50% of it is focused on the reading. And so we've also been using these IADs to inform the instruction we're doing on comprehension. Where our students have struggling the most, we look at the weakest questions, we look at the strongest questions. I've done this work with the middle school teachers as well. In data team meetings in trying to say, okay, if this is what we're focused on, how are we going to implement it into the classroom? In our newsletter, I put out ideas that focus on inference. This month was on details, and next month will be author's purpose. So we're always trying to communicate the same message out to all of the teachers, focus on the instruction within Wonders, which is our textbook in K through 6, and then study sync in 7th and 8th grade and our novels in 9 to 12. And so here we had about 50% of our students that have been taking these interim assessments that are below. We have 40% who are on target should meet grade level. This is a little bit different than the SBAC, and green that are at or above at this moment. And so these are given 3 through 8. And our work curriculum wise for as we go into it next year is to start to implement these more directly into the curriculum where they make sense. So our next slide just shows you how we've taken this information. You're
Wait,
gonna see a lot.
before we move that slide. Okay. So looking at this number, and I'm glad I didn't have to ask the question because you said it. The red is the red, they're under 40 is they're meeting or just meeting, and then 10%. Okay, so
At or above.
at or above, and this is our midterm. If I'm understanding correctly. So where are we right now, or what is being implemented right now or being talked about with you guys to change that?
That's actually what's on the.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
Well, I'm gonna put you right in, let me just. That, if that holds,
You're on.
is a substantial improvement. Right?
From last year.
If this holds, that's a substantial improvement.
Okay, so what data I'm looking at, I'm just looking at that right now, so I'm not saying last year.
It's saying half of our children are at level.
They are moving towards at level. So on the IABs, they don't do the blue. On the SBAC, they do the 4, 3, 2, 1. On the interims, we have just the red, yellow, and green.
Video of the giving the interims because it's exposing kids to the language. But teachers also get an itemized, corrected list by student of, Little Marge and Tito, they need help with questions like number 1. Cheryl and Sangeeta might need help with questions like 2. And so they can take that then with their, it helps them support their small group instruction.
And I worked with a teacher in October on this, and they have implemented putting in an SBAC question is weak. into their daily assignments, and we actually saw that teacher saw great growth. And so like you're saying, sharing that out with other teachers, building on that strategy, that is something that has been something we're talking about. We looked at those questions, as you said, we came up with these 4 areas of focus for instruction. And then have started to build that into the professional learning for this year, not next year, this year, with our pop-ups on multilingual, the differentiation on the WIN period. I've spoken at several of the high schools about how to do that at the secondary level. We've put out pop-up PDs for the elementaries. And we've done things like interactive read-alouds. So we're taking this information that we're getting from the middle of the year and implementing it right away. That's something.
I understand why. For the record, it's why I hate standardized testing.
It's not the only point.
It's teaching to the test,
Up to standards.
Right.
teaching to the standardized test, not teaching to what the child wants to learn. Understand what you're doing. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I get it. In a quick comment, an editorial remark. Next.
That was it.
Oh, okay, I thought you had, I thought you
My
were
last
talking,
slide.
okay.
Any other? Put on to my colleague.
I said, I'll make a comment if you would, to the chair. I'm not sure who's in charge of this room, but just for all the presenters and all that stuff, my name is William Medina. I'm the programmer that love to have papers in front of them. So whenever you do have a packet, please have a copy for me. I'm not sure what happened this time, but I just want to share that. You guys have what we've been working, you guys don't know, and I'll get the support that I need.
Ms. Hughes provided this for me on Monday night.
Sorry.
So
I
it's,
like the hard copy
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And
Danielle didn't do
it's
this.
sort of
No,
He's made Danielle aware.
next to mile.
Ms. Hughes provided.
everybody just kind of know. Now everybody knows. You're okay. You're okay.
He's got it.
Yeah, we've been sharing. We're sharing. No, thank you. I'll get one later. It's okay.
That's right. You know, also, if nine, the whole. Okay.
That information doesn't seem to be, but you confirmed that it's not in the report. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to, I didn't want to. Say.
Danielle, vote, I thought she unvoted.
No, that's
Well,
why.
I
said-
don't believe it is. He just confirmed it. I didn't want to make that comment, but yeah, he did and said that it's not in the report.
As I say, he's on, glitches.
Danielle, okay, this is-
Well, think that to be there enough. Show you.
It was on the agenda, Marge. We did fine. It's all the.
Oh, we saw it on the website. Saw it on the
I
website.
printed it from the website, but I don't know about the,
That's a good word. Say it again. From where?
from the website.
Okay. That's not our portal, so.
I know, that's what I said.
That's what I mean.
Exactly, I
That
don't,
is-
I'm not.
Good word.
Portal.
That is portal. It seems to. Go ahead, you know, you could.
Emilio Tito Planas, Director of Mathematics. It's my honor to present in front of you today. This is a comprehensive overview of our district mathematics progress through the middle of the year. As you probably heard before, our primary assessment tool is the NWEA Math Growth. Now, all those soup, the letter soup, let me tell you what it means. No, NWEA is the Northwest Evaluation Association. And MAP is the measure of academic progress. This is a nationally recognized assessment, which is adaptive. It mimics what SBAC does, which is it's adaptive and moves up and down depending on how students answer questions. Been around since 1977. In the year 2000, with the coming out of Common Core, they started doing updates to the assessment every 5 years to try to target how close we could reach, like predicting how close we are to SBAC. So every 5 years, they do an evaluation of the program. They look at all the students that take the test and they compare the SBAC scores of those sets. and they revised their norms to make sure that they could predict, they could have a good precision, predictive aspect for SBAC, and SAT. So as part of their assessment, one of the, if you look at each one of the students, you will see a curve, how close they are getting to the SBAC growth. So it's a fantastic assessment, and we're lucky to have it due to the fact that we have HMH into math as part of the program, and they're owned by HMH, so it's great to have it. This assessment looks at two areas, the growth as well as achievement. Growth in the sense that it looks at how much students improve between one assessment and the other. And achievement, it looks at the performance compared to the national norms. So we see both. We see the growth of students and the achievement. And in this slide, you're going to see our focus has been in growth, because in order for you to hit achievement, meaning in order for you to get to the end of that marathon, you have to grow. You have to run 3 miles first, 4 miles then, 10 miles until you get to that 20-mile marathon or whatever it is for a marathon. I've never ran a marathon before, so I could never tell you. But you could then see in terms of growth, we actually look at both growth and achievement. But because we want to make sure that our students are on track, we first look at growth. So here's the growth of all our students, K through 12. Now, mind you, there are some grade levels like 11 and 12 where we had significantly less students than in other areas. But what you'll see from these scores, well, first of all, let me tell you, you could see in your packet that the red is the low, right? It's low growth. The orange is below average growth. The yellow is average growth. The green is high average growth, and the blue is high growth. So we want students, in order for them to make it, to narrow the gap, we want to see students in the green and the blue when we get the reports. Meaning we want them to show high average to high growth. Anyone in the yellow, yeah, that's okay. But if you want to make a real dent and narrow the gap, you want to see students in that orange, and I'm sorry, in that green and in that blue. What you will see from these scores is some celebrations is that kindergarten and grade 9 demonstrated the strongest performance. And this is great to see because we want students when they come into school to be growing. I tell when I meet with principals, I tell them that their school should be growing at 50% or more. That's our goal, 50% or more. And the higher it is, the better. And what you see throughout the district, as you look at each of the schools, is that there are many growing at 50% or more in different grade levels. So we're in the right way to show, to narrow that gap, to be able to say, right now we're at matching SBAC, from the before COVID time. We want to make sure that we continue to grow. And I joke around that I'll retire when at least 50% of our students are meeting at or above, the norm, the percentage. So that will be for a little while, but I would love to see our district shine like other districts around us. Grade 9 is very important because grade 9 is also a transition year, and for years we've seen grade 9 drop. And we are seeing now that if you look at that bar, that grade 9 is almost at the same level as kindergarten, which is fantastic. And 7 and 8 follow very closely. And part of that reason is because we're focusing on ensuring that we have, the first thing is we want to make sure that we have certified teachers in every single 7th and 8th grade class. And for years, we haven't had that. We've had a lot of permanent subs in those classes. So finding those teachers, ensuring that we have programs like we had last year, we developed a program where we had a cross-certification path. And we had teachers that actually took the test, and if they passed that test, they were able to acquire that certification. So teachers that had that background in mathematics were able to then teach mathematics as a result from that test. We had 2 or 3 teachers that passed the assessment and were able to be certified and now teaching math in their department.
So we want to make sure that every single student is taught by a certified teacher in mathematics. Yesterday, I went to UConn, some of us went to UConn to do some recruiting. And I had about 5, I was excited because I saw 5 or 6 teachers in math, that were certified in math, and they were almost ready to be ready to teach. So I'm telling them, come to Bridgeport, we will we'll make it happen. And so we had some great teachers there, and I was very excited, very thrilled.
Can I just add something? Also, you should note that as of last year, our 9th grade Algebra 1 went from a semester to 2 semesters. And so we did the same thing this year. And I do think that jump in the growth is attributable to giving them the gift of time.
That's great. So that was my next point here. We went from 1 semester where we condensed the entire work to a full year long where we gave students the opportunity to develop their skills and ask questions and master different skills throughout. So that was a great change, and I echo what Ms. Hughes was saying. We do have some targeted areas, and you can see them. It's very clear. It's right down the middle. That 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. I was a 5th grade teacher for my first 5 years in Bridgeport, and I know I have a colleague that was a 4th grade teacher. 5th, right?
And
5th also, yeah. So we know how difficult it is, how many standards are in those grade levels. They have a lot of standards and a lot of key skills. And so we're working, because what you don't see there is who they are. You see, we have a lot of change in those grade levels. We have a lot of new people in those grade levels. And so that makes a difference, and it reflects on that data. And so we work a lot with those grade levels, and we're going to continue to focus in those grade levels like we're doing with the others. You also have grade 11. One of the things that we've looked at grade 11 is we have a lot of conversation with principals, ensuring that they have at least 1 math course on that 3rd year, because sometimes students take 2 math courses sophomore year and no math course the 3rd year. So when they take the SAT, the Scholastic Aptitude Test, they forget everything that's because they haven't had the math. So we're doing 2 things. We're talking to principals to ensure, and counselors to ensure that they have math throughout, the 3 years. And we're also encouraging students to continue to use Khan Academy, which is probably one of the best practice programs that there is for SAT. So at least they could keep their hands in the money. We could have them continue to practice SAT skills and so forth.
On that point, Tito, I have a question. Mr. Planas, excuse me.
He was fine.
I apologize to the public. Me and Mr. Planas go way back in Central High School, marching band and Central High School alumni. So I apologize. It's hard to look at him. And our family's been friends for many years, so I apologize to the public, and no disrespect to Mr. Planas. That being said, when you just mentioned about that they're taking in math 1st and 2nd year, and then the junior year, they tend not to take in math. And we're looking at that right now because of them taking the SATs, and again, that familiarity that they're not involved in math. So it's like, so the point they went out the window, let's say. They're not active with that. They're not working that aspect in their brain. What is being sought to change outside of what you just mentioned? Because you did mention one thing was trying to add a math function to thing. Is that a state requirement? How many years of math you gotta have? 2?
Minimum 3.
3.
Three courses.
3
3 courses. So you have the Algebra 1 full year, right? And then you have Algebra 2. Now the Algebra 1 counts as 2 courses. So technically, we're but then you could take from the combined, there's a combined, what do you call it? Like STEM courses. There's a number that you could take from. But in essence, when you look at those, remember this test was given in January. So in essence, some of these students had not taken the 2nd math course because the math course starts the 3rd week in January. You know what I mean? So they might have not taken that math course at the beginning before this test. That's why you see some drop. And when you see some of the students and you start looking at the data, you'll see what's going on. You'll see, oh, what, yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
didn't take
feel-
a math the first time.
And my thought went right away is like, okay, how can we help the counselors to guide them to make sure they have, like you said, another math or to change the way we're giving them those courses to make sure that they are taking it at when they need it or when it's important, because if we can find out a way to figure that out
Yeah.
outside of adding more math classes into their curriculum, let's say, just the way we're handling that, because I gotta figure that out, because if it's important for them when they're going into their senior and they're going into college, that they take those tests and do well at it, because it opens up doors. So that's why I came to thought, just to figure out what can we do to support them and figure out how can we encourage them through our counselors, through that part, to encourage students to take something, and then what can they take? So that was my thought, that's what I would bring.
And that's a great question. You know, I think if they're using Khan Academy for that first semester and they're taking a math course the second semester or vice versa, that will keep them at 2. So we're tracking that. I think all the principals are game for that, to be honest with you. They're already looking at this. All the principals look at this data, and I know the executive directors at BCUs, you know, they're asking, you know, what are we gonna do to improve this data? What things are you doing? And asking questions about it, which is essential. So we're working on it. I think you'll see a difference, you know, in the coming years because we're working together. This is probably as tight. I've been here 31 years. You know, this team is small but mighty, like Ms. Hughes says. We're very close. I wanted to
Ask,
go ahead.
the Khan Academy thing though, is it a course or is it just extracurricular? And if so, what motivation do they have to take to use it?
Good question. You know, some schools, like for example, BMA, they have a competition. For them, it's a competition. You know, they look at the data. Mr. Lipp is always talking, Commander Lipp, is always talking about the data. In fact, they just won second place in in Khan Academy competition.
Yep.
But it happens differently in all the schools. So it's a matter of having conversation and continuing to see and see how we could illuminate, you know, more students to be using the program.
Yeah, the question is what motivates them to use it?
Yeah.
Because I understand the problem you're saying is they're not fluent
Yep.
in math as they approach the test because they haven't been using it. So the Khan Academy becomes something to keep them fluent. But then what motivates them to use it? Then how do we motivate them to use it to maintain their fluency?
I think that one of the best things that is happening is principals know how to use the, you know, they're becoming aware of how to use the engine to look at the data. They're constantly asking those same questions that you're asking throughout. So they're working hard in this regard. Again, it's just a matter of time. We got rid of Khan Academy. This is the first year that we bring it back. And they have had a lot of changes. So we're getting back into the routine of what we used to do in the past. And the second slide has to do with the interim assessment block and the beauty of this marriage, this having a standardized measure and this is actually the standardized measure, to be honest with you, but this is an on-level standardized measure, is that this is created by the same people that created the SBAC. So by having an assessment that mimics the SBAC, like Ms. Hughes said, we're basically providing that opportunity for students to see parts of the test and to experience part of the test. When I talk to teachers, we talk about 3 areas when they look at those questions. We talk about the language, the vocabulary that's used in the test. We use about the computer function, you know, because some part of the test, you have to move some things or you have to click on these things. And by students having that access and using these assessments, they're exposed to that. And part of the kicker for this is not to just give the assessment, but the most important part is to teach with the assessment. So teach the students those fundamentals. If you see students that bummed out in question number 2, you know, and question number 2 had a lot of things that you have to move. Obviously, you have to sit down with your students and bring that together and show them how to move different things. And the last thing is the type of questions. See, when we were growing up, you had an ABCD question and you have only one answer. Now you could have multiple answers. You could have multiple parts. And so our kids have to be exposed to those things. And so part of using this assessment is not just to assess students, is to teach them about those things, is to use it to teach the language of SBAC. And you know what? And SBAC mimics a lot of different assessments that we'll have in life, to be honest with you. So, you know, you will see college entry assessments, you'll see SAT. They're looking alike. So by them having this exposure in the lower grades, it will give them an edge when they get to upper grades. So what you see here is, first of all, I want to tell you that I compared it to, this is the total overall, and you heard about the different areas. Now, I looked at last year's scores because I looked at last year's scores, and what we saw last year is we had 52% of our students in the red. This year, we have 51% of the students. And to be honest with you, we used a couple of tougher assessments this time around than last time around. And what I mean by that is, although we use some what we call FIABs, which are focused, we used a lot more actual interim assessments than we did last year. Last year, we used a lot more of the focus. Now, the focus are just on a content area, and the IABs tend to be about areas spread out. So they have more material. Okay, so last year's assessments were a little bit easier than this year's assessments, and we still show growth. 52% last year, 51% this year, 35% last year in that yellow, 33%. It's good that it's lower. And then we had 13 last year, and this year we have 13% in the green. So it's exciting to see this. It's hard to make growth in this assessment when it's unleveled. But because we're focusing so much on growth, we are, and not just any growth. And we don't want to grow students 1 year. We need to go beyond that 1 year. And last but not least, we're focusing on providing an acceleration model. And we call that WID, what I need. You probably have heard that before when Ms. Hughes spoken about it. This year, this is my goal. My focus has been, my own personal goal is to ensure that our schools have a productive WIN block. Because during that WIN is when we help students accelerate to move them. When implemented correctly, this is a fast way of moving students with the intention of helping them on whatever they're teaching during that lesson. So we're not just trying to go back to 4th grade work in high school. We're focusing on, okay, I'm teaching solving equations. What things do that students need right now to access that instruction? And so that's what the WIN block is. We use all the assessment of our book. For example, we have an Are You Ready, which is the pre-skills. And we just help it move forward. In that sense, we have a module assessment at the end and so forth. So altogether, we're making gains. We're making gains. We're obviously not moving as fast as we want to, but we're moving in the right direction. And I think the best part is we're all working together, and we're working very hard to ensure that our students get what they need.
To the chair, I just want to say thank you again. You use some words that I'm very fond of, so, and I know this is your baby. And, you know, math has been your passion, and throughout the district, that's why you are where you are, and I know that, you know, you're making your family very proud, continuing, because this is your passion. So again, words matter to me. When you're using the words target, and you have an area that you're working on, that you're focused on, great. When you talk about growth, the kids are not going to have any achievement without growth. This is actually written down in the state, you know, education website. That's what they want to see, is the growth. So I know there's been some challenges, but I know, like you said, I thank you for going back and searching your numbers as far as last year, because it does matter. I don't know how many students took it last year, but definitely, you know, we see it, and just math was my baby. It's always been my baby. My nieces and nephews, even in Florida, I sit down with them on Facebook Live and going through problems and teaching them and going back and I'm like, "Dang, I haven't done this since, you know." But I know where my babies are and I know where my skills were. Word problems always saying, when you're talking about that, all that moving thing and trying to find out what is the question, because there's so many moving parts, is great. And Ms. Hughes mentioned very keenly that I loved also was that she said, once we find out that, you know, Jimmy and Stephanie and Mark are need area in this thing, well, you know what, they're gonna form that group. And now we're gonna teach them this, because that's where they're low on, and we want to push them up. So I love that. So thank you very much again for your presentation and for your numbers. These numbers are small, but I can see them. And I definitely want to see, you know, that target area get hit, you know, because I know a lot of times when it comes to reading, we talk about grades 1, 2, and 3, and we have a, you know, there's a statistic out there about that, those goals. But in math, I see the way the numbers, when they're jumping from one, like you mentioned, 8th grade to 9th grade, that there is a big jump, a nice jump, especially in the green, that went up, you know, and then more kids are they're less red even, and then orange to the same, but 19% now in the green, in the yellow, and then even the green and things. So I love to hit the red and orange, because again, we want to move them on, and want to see those numbers lower. We all would like. So I thank you, and I thank you, applaud the staff and the teachers that are backing you up and buying into this, because the numbers are going to show. They really are. We're doing it, and it takes a couple years to get something moving, but we're moving. This is moving. So I appreciate you guys all.
Thank you.
Very simple. Thank you, and your team, I'm very proud of you.
Mr. Blanes. Early childhood.
Heard you loud and clear. I made some copies. You, so.
I appreciate you.
Oh, you have it. Okay. Okay, so I'm Lindsay Davis, Director of Early Childhood. And I'm just going to highlight some of the results for our pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 Bergantz assessment. This assessment provides an early look at children's development across critical areas of readiness, which would be language literacy, fine motor and gross motor, so motor development, social emotional skills, and numeracy. And what we can see by the results, if you want to go to the next slide, is that we've made some really steady progress and growth. You know, we can see that from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year that we've really shifted across all areas and shown some tremendous growth for our 3 and 4-year-olds. And something that we want to keep in mind when we're looking at this data is that it's showing us where students, where and how students are developing. We can look at this assessment and break it down even further to look at the physical development, language development, and academic development. So it really is a guide as to how we're going to provide instructional strategies and practices within the classrooms. Something that's been a goal of mine for the last few years that I've been in this position is to get the teachers involved in looking at this and taking a deeper dive into this data, so that we're really using it as a tool to help drive the instruction. And, you know, many of our schools have only one pre-K teacher, sometimes 2. So really creating opportunities for them to work together to talk about what this data means and what we can do as far as the instructional practices to help students, students grow and develop, and really so that they have the skills and the foundation that they need going into kindergarten. To go to the next slide, we can just see again, we have beginning of the year and middle of the year. And this chart shows in a nice chart how things have progressed and over time. It also will show you on the bottom how many students were assessed. So at the beginning of the year, we had 722 pre-K students in pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 that were assessed. And then in the middle of the year, we actually had more students, 778 that were assessed. And you'll see that
The orange is students that were below level. And just, to kind of further talk about that, it's not necessarily a reflection of their inability. Like I said, this assessment provides us with opportunities to highlight where we need to provide instructional strategies for growth. So it helps us develop those appropriate supports as children grow their language skills and their academic skills and their physical development skills as well. So what you can see is that the orange is shrinking and the green and the blue are growing. So it's, headed in the right direction and exactly what we want to see as we look at these skills over time.
I thank you, Committee Chair. Next time I would love to see those two graphs in different pages, because it's very small at this thing. But when I was reading the numbers, the first page, I wrote the word amen. Nice. I mean, we're looking at numbers that, like you said, you increase, when there was an increase in numbers that were taking it compared to the beginning of the year, to think 56 more students were taking it, but still it went from 47.1 to 56.3. The below, was 52% and it went to 43. So we almost dropped 10 points right there. The at also went up. So, there was some growth there, but also it doubled when you looked at the above. So that's why I wrote amen right away there. But then when you look at, if I think the right word is demographics, when you look at our population of our students, and you can see the great numbers of, how everyone increased and moved forward and saw it sometimes even doubled, especially in the Asian and the Hispanic community. That was amazing, great numbers, and the way they shifted. It's applaud to the teachers and staff and students that they're doing, and yourselves here, because they're a reflection of you guys. So if I applaud the students and the teachers, it's a double applause for you guys. That way, that's the way I take it. So if you don't take it that way, now you learn. This is the way I say it. I applaud the teachers and the students, and they're doing the work. So I thank you.
And something you'll notice, even when we look at this and we see, the zero growth for the Asian population, there was no growth in our at or above, but there's a significant shift of students that were at that moved into the above.
Oh, I'm mad that you even brought that zero. I hate that zero to begin with, but again, the growth was zero. So what she mentioned was it went from at 62.5%, because I want people to hear it, and above in the beginning of school was 12.5. They actually almost switched that.
Right.
The at took to 12.5 and the above went up to 62.5.
Right.
So that's growth. That's what, that's it's huge.
And the complexity of this assessment also changes over time as children turn 3, 4, and 5 years old. The complexity changes to meet the developmental milestones.
They moved that bar, I know. They moved that bar, but we gotta move with it, so I appreciate that. Through the chair.
I have a question on the second screen. What's the date on the second graph?
The date, this was after the second assessment, which would be end of January. So the first was September and middle of the year is January.
I am correct. It's not there, right?
Correct.
The print is tiny, but I didn't,
Ours is very quick.
no, it's not there. Excellent. I had the pre-K full. More questions? Okay, this is all very exciting, all three of you. Thank you for coming in and doing this tonight. We are moving in a good direction. It is going on in our district, and let's pray that appropriate entities that they come up with the resources to allow us to continue our mission in the right fashion. But in the meanwhile, notwithstanding what those entities do, we need to be pushing hard to get what our children deserve. Because we all know that given the opportunity, they can succeed quite nicely. And that's what you've demonstrated tonight. If we provide them that opportunity, our children will thrive. And that's more than anything what I get out of the report you've given us tonight is the continued belief that if our children get the opportunity, our children will succeed in life and show the world what they can do. We just have the need to be able to provide them the opportunity. So thank you all very much for this report tonight. It's nice to be able to look at this. I'm gonna move this right along. I had asked in January that we put 2 items on this agenda. The first item 8, a discussion on cell phones. It says in parentheses on the agenda tonight, it's a current legislative item. If you have followed it in the news at all, it's a hot ticket item up in Hartford. There are 2 sides being hotly debated in Hartford. There is the side that says, let the district decide, and there's the side that says mandate it. I had been at a CEA legislative breakfast a few weeks ago where the teachers articulated very strongly they wanted to mandate no phones in school. I saw a number of legislators from different districts who expressed the political side, and we heard at CABE functions that we went to, boards of ed who wanted to say, let the Board of Ed decide. When I asked to put it on the agenda in January and to discuss, it was before this legislative session had begun. Given what's going on in Hartford, I am going to ask that this item be referred to the policy committee, Mr. Woodson, and you can deal with it there. So it's more appropriate, given that debate in Hartford, that this be an item that we deal with in our policy committee. But frankly, it's all going to depend on what they decide up in Hartford. So I would suggest that it be referred to the policy committee. And I would take a motion to refer this to the policy committee. Gentlemen,
Second.
I didn't refer it. Okay, so somebody want to make that motion? Thank you. And Mr. Medina seconds it. So we'll refer this to the policy committee. Dr. Avery on the motion?
Yes, sir. I just kind of want to emphasize, I agree with you 100% that this item and the item that you're going to bring up here next, I think both of those need to be referred back to the policy committee. There is a lot of conversation, and we're going to get some direct legal guidance from the state of Connecticut on the phone topic and the AI topic. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that. I do want to refer the board back to, I can wait till the next item comes up to address that concern that I have on that as well, Mr. Traber. But going back to the policy committee for this item is perfect. I appreciate that, because there's gonna be a lot more conversation around it, and I'm following it as well, as well as the other school superintendents in Connecticut, because it is a hot topic, and they've done a lot of trial runs across other districts across Connecticut. Good, bad, or indifferent, we'll have that information before us to guide the work that we're going to have to do on this. I too have had several meetings with groups of teachers regarding cell phones in the classrooms. I've been getting, anecdotal information from them as well as we start the journey of developing policy around it. So it's going to be a good, deep conversation, and we're going to have to do a lot more community input on this one. And I think it's important for us to kind of seek that out. So I appreciate you referring it back to policy, and we'll have a lot more deeper conversations around it, I think. So good deal. Thank you.
Mr. Medina.
Yes, definitely. And I thank you, Dr. Avery, because you just also reminded me that, when we were at the cave, Day in the Hill, there was some talk about it, like Mr. Traver said, and there was one particular district that already had some policy, and I reached out to her then and asked her, can she send me over that policy? So I'll definitely share it with Mr. Woodson if he's still online, and with you, once she sends it over. I don't know if they've reached out to you, but I asked them because I don't think we should reinvent the wheel. And there was a thing because it was been according to her, it was at no cost, so they're not doing anything that is costing. I know some district, they're doing pouches, they're doing these different things. But this district did it. They've been doing it. The high schools and elementary did it at different times. They let the campus do it in their discussion. They let the campus do it in their timeline, let's say. So it worked good, I hear. So I would love to hear and read what they put on paper. That way we can see it, see how we can mimic it or make it work for us. But as soon as I have it, I'll pass it over to you guys. But I'm waiting for that still, I believe. So I'll double check my emails again. But definitely something that we should talk about in the side. I'm hearing teachers they want this. They really do, which is to my surprise. Because I thought they were not there. I know we do have to tackle something with you guys. And in the committee level, because I know there's some schools, I don't know if it's all, they use their cell phones for passes. As far as when they're going to the back, to the restroom and stuff like that. So we really have to figure out, how we want to implement this and how and what, phase. And possibly even, have a couple of discussion in the IAC committee, Lincoln IAC committee for a month or two and figure out what we could do together. See, that's referred. Oh, I know. But again, my words staying on the record that even if we have to do that, then we can get community involved in this discussion and parents involved in the discussion. Because moving it just to policy might not be the complete answer for us, because we want to hear from the community also, because parents are going to have a say 100% before my brother says something here to my left. Parents are going to have a say on this, unfortunately, because they are the people that we're serving, and I want to hear their concerns and how they can see that it's going to be, a blessing. I want to hear from the other districts. So I'll send you that as soon as I have it, and then I'll start working on fishing for that information, because I thought I would have it by now. So unfortunately, I don't. Through the chair.
Thank you, Sue. Mr. Bennett?
No, because you're right. Okay.
Okay, so on the motion, all in favor of moving, referring it to policy? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Dr. Avery, I am not going to agree with you about the second one. But I am going to move to table it tonight because of the hour. This is a sacred evening, and right at this moment, a sacred event is occurring, and I'm missing it. Those of us that understand and appreciate American culture, this is opening day. It is happening as we speak.
That's true.
And through the chair.
It happens to be my team. It is happening with, so.
Netflix.
Yeah, through the chair, can I?
Just 1 second. I just wanted to say, I am happy at some point just to engage in a discussion about whether policy is the appropriate place to refer, as it probably is. I'm not arguing artificial intelligence, but I did want to engage in a conversation about it and what it entails. I understand what a cell phone entails. But
Yep.
what artificial intelligence entails and how it affects a classroom and how it affects learning and how it impacts learning. That's a whole different kettle of fish than how a
Yep.
cell phone impacts our classrooms. And I can understand and comprehend how a cell phone impacts our school and our learning in our classroom. But how artificial intelligence does is a much bigger, broader, newer discussion. So I am going to retain the right to have that discussion in my committee before it gets referred to another committee where it might be more appropriate for us to consider a policy. But that policy and that discussion would be beyond my control at that point.
Yes, sir. Can I,
So-
can I add value to what you just
Yes,
said?
yes, yes, sir.
I want to bring it to the board's attention that you guys approved a policy back in May 27th of 2025. And we have a standard AI policy in district currently as we speak. I want to bring it to your attention so that, in between this meeting and your next meeting, Mr. Traver, I think I want you guys to put your eyes on it. It's policy 6401. It was approved back May 27, 2025. It gives that general focus for AI and what AI is going to be instructive in the district. So I think it'll be, for everyone to do their due diligence as we come back to the next appropriate time to talk in depth. I think surveying the district, surveying parents, doing all those things to make sure that we're clear about how AI is going to be used. But it's already established, it's there. I just think we need to kind of take a deeper dive. I researched that a little bit more of that today. I'll talk with the technology department. And when those policies were approved last year, they lumped all of that in the acceptable use technology policy. Those that were part of the model policies, I think that CABE provided the district last year, and the board did approve it already. So I think we just need to take a deeper dive. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, and so that we can have a deeper conversation about it as well, okay?
I appreciate that. I would certainly take a look at that. I don't think that's what I'm really talking about, but I think that it's relevant to what I'm talking about, certainly. It has impact, it has applicability to what I want to talk about. But what I'm trying to do is broaden the conversation so that we all have a better understanding of what it is. Because I just don't think any of us really understand what it is that's already here and impacting our learning. Is really what I'm getting at.
I agree, 100%.
That's
you,
the
sir.
discussion. That's the discussion I want to have, is how is it affecting us already? That we don't even understand. And the we, I include myself. The old timers like me, as well as.
Me
young
too,
folks.
me too, sir. Me too. So I'm still learning as well. So we're all
that's really-
in that learning.
What I'm trying to do is engender a conversation that I think we're going to be having over the next few years. It's not just a policy that's beyond the policy. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't have to happen tonight. It's an ongoing conversation, if you will, beyond the policy. So. Yes, sir.
Through the chair, would like to make a motion to move discussion on AI use by the district staff and student to the next table into the next instruction and support services meeting.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And one,
I was gonna ask you if you were gonna vote for that, here you go. Aye. And
I agree. I too.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:08.
Thank you, everyone.
And as Sam pointed out, for those of us that appreciate